Another game, another star performance from Franz Wagner. Why his secret weapon isn't such a secret. Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is December 5th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD, as well as on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, another star-making performance as Franz Wagner carries the Orlando Magic to a victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. Why his secret weapon is really just not that much of a secret. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, even when I record a little bit late, very late, like I slept this morning late. We appreciate you listening to Locked On Magic and making it part of your day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day with the Locked On Magic daily newsletter. It's the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start today with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. After the game, Jamahl Mosley had a moment. We love Coach Mose. We know Mose is real. Very, Mose is great. He's great with the media. Mose to the media is different than Mose not to the media in a lot of ways. And I always, I always love when we get to share who Mose really is and what Mose is really like kind of when the mics aren't on. We got that moment after the Magic's 106-102 victory over the Sixers. The Magic, I'm not in Philadelphia, if you can't tell. I'm still at home. But the Magic set up their post-game interviews outside their locker room. And so Franz Wagner is speaking to the media. And all of a sudden in the background, you hear someone yelling, All-Star, All-Star. I'll say it louder. Make sure they heard me. All-Star. Yeah, that was Jamahl Mosley walking down the hallway, coming out of the Magic's locker room as Franz Wagner spoke to the media. I'm trying to get Franz Wagner to crack because there's one thing we know about Franz Wagner. That dude is focused. That dude is always dialed in. That dude always has the goal in mind. And that's kind of the secret weapon I'm talking about today. Look, Franz Wagner is going to be an all-star. If you read the ESPN Insiders article, they have him as an all-star. The Magic sitting in the 3 seed in the East, it would be pretty impossible for them not to have an all-star. And while Paolo Banchero might normally take that spot, and look, if both these guys were healthy and Franz were playing at this level, there's a real chance the Magic would get 2 all-stars because Paolo Banchero was obviously playing incredible. But at the very least, Franz Wagner is the designated Magic player to be an all-star when voting begins with the coaches vote in January. Franz Wagner will be in San Francisco barring injury. He is going to be an all-star. And he's playing like it every day. But while there are plenty of things that have him elevating his game, there are plenty of things that have shown how he has taken lead. His three-point shooting has dramatically improved from last year. His mid-range shot has come out of nowhere. He's passing and assisting the ball a whole lot better. We already know he's an elite defender, which frankly no one recognizes as much as they should. The reason why Franz Wagner's an all-star is because he is doing the things that he was already good at a whole lot better. Maybe on more volume, maybe not as efficiently. But this team has taken on Franz Wagner's identity, or Franz Wagner has embraced this team's identity. Offensively, the Magic really only have one goal. We could talk all we want about how the Magic need to make their offense more complex. They need to add layers to the offense. They need to get a little bit more diversity. 100%. Not arguing with that. But this offense is based off of one thing. getting guys downhill, getting one of their two 6'10" forwards downhill into the paint, putting pressure on the rim, and then kicking back out the shooters. And obviously that becomes a little more difficult when Paolo Banchero's out and you only have one of those two options. And look, I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you. The Magic need to diversify their offense. Can't count how many times during this game on Wednesday that Wendell Carter got a switch onto like Tyrese Maxey, and the Magic did not immediately or did not naturally take advantage of that with a post up. And maybe that's just not Wendell Carter's game. I think he is a decent post player, but the Magic who love to hunt mismatches did not hunt this mismatch. This is Franz Wagner's team. And Franz Wagner is an expert at getting to the basket. Wagner scored 35 points, 12 for 23 shooting, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 52.2%. It's his 7th game this year, scoring at least 30 points. He had 7 all of last year. Undoubtedly, he has been asked to step up, and he has stepped up to the plate. Wagner has not backed down from what the Magic need from him and who he is as a Magic player. This also marked his 8th straight game scoring 20 points or more, tying his personal best, his personal record that he set earlier this year. Franz has taken his step up. But here's the thing. It's not doing things much differently than he did last year when his shooting wasn't there, or that he's done throughout his career. Wagner shooting 65.5% within 5 feet of the basket, with 39.3% of his total shots coming in that range. So yes, he is taking more mid-range shots. Like his last year, he shot 65.4%, but 48.3% of his shots came within 5 feet. That's not unexpected. However, at least entering Wednesday's game, Wagner was averaging a team-high 13.2 drives per game. So the way Second Spectrum measures this, there's the tracking data. When you go from at least 20 feet to the basket to 10 feet to the basket, that's considered a drive. Wagner is 13.2 of these per game. He was at 11.7 last year. And again, averaging a little fewer points, maybe a little bit less efficient because he's doing it more, but 8.4 points per game and 1.3 assists per game. On Wednesday, Wagner went 7 for 10 in the paint and added an additional 4 for 4 shooting from shots inside the paint outside of the restricted area. So, on a night when Wagner didn't have his 3-point shot going, he was 1 for 6 again, second straight game struggling from 3. Wagner still made an impact on the game because I didn't even mention he went 10 for 10 from the line. His free throw rate has jumped this year. And so at the end of the day, what Wagner is doing is what the Magic need to do. The Magic in this game scored let me just make sure I get the number right here. 64 points in the paint. 64 points in the paint. Their 4th game this season with more than 60 points in the paint. I believe they're 3-1 in those games. And then they added 21 free throws, a little bit below their average, 18 second chance points off 16 offensive rebounds. The whole basis of this Magic offense is getting downhill. When the Magic's offense, which by the way, still had a 119.1 offensive rating, a slow, low possession game, which made offensive rebounds and turnovers feel a lot heavier. When the Magic struggle offensively, you can tell it's because the ball sticks to the perimeter. They're not able to get downhill. And teams are switching a lot more to try to bottle up Franz Wagner. Keep him from getting downhill. Keep him from getting to the paint. That is who this Magic team is. That is this team's offensive identity. That's what they try to do. And that is the basis of everything that Franz Wagner does. I personally, Franz may have the ball a little bit less. He may not have a 20-point game every night when Paolo Banchero gets back. But he's still going to be this effective. Because his game is based on getting downhill. And if he could get the ball off a rotation, and now the Magic have a second guy who can attack more cleanly and more naturally to the basket, that's going to make him better. That's going to twist the defense up. That's going to allow the other shooters to shoot better. Jalen Suggs shot a lot better before Paolo's injury. I'm not so concerned about Suggs' inconsistent shooting. I expected him to be a little inconsistent, but the kind of looks that he was getting with Paolo are just a lot better than looks he's getting right now with Franz. That's not Franz's fault. But this is who the Magic are. And if the Magic want to be successful offensively, it starts with getting downhill. It starts with finding ways to get Franz downhill. And frankly, one thing the Magic have to improve is diversifying how they accomplish this. But ultimately, this is Franz Wagner's secret weapon. And again, it ain't a secret. It's not a secret. Franz Wagner is just very, very good at getting to and finishing at the rim. And that's going to be his ticket to the All-Star game, and that's going to be the Magic's ticket to a very good playoff seeding. The Orlando Magic have another secret weapon that's, again, not so secret. We'll talk about the power of the bench after Jonathan Isaac's season-high game, and Moe Wagner, again, just being very much in the Sixth Man of the Year conversation. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Chime. You know, we've all been there, spending more than we should during the holidays. It is definitely a time that we spend and don't necessarily think about our spending all the time. So take control of your finances by using a Chime checking account with features like no monthly or maintenance fees, fee-free overdraft up to $200, or getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. You can learn more at chime.com/NBA. Look, I'm getting ready to go to Milwaukee for NBA Cup action. That's a nice little $800 shock to my banking system. So I have to make sure that my finances are in order elsewhere so that I can make this trip and be at the biggest game on the Magic schedule. We'll have plenty more coverage on that coming up next week. Chime helps with fee-free overdraft of up to $200. You can join millions of Chime members who are working on financial progress to make sure that there are no shocks to the system. Again, Chime helps with fee-free overdraft of up to $200. Your next deposit is applied to your balance. You get spotted on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. There's no monthly fee or maintenance fees. Over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. To date, Chime has spotted members more than $32 billion in transactions through SpotMe. Friends give friends a boost. Eligible members get a complimentary boost to temporarily increase a friend's SpotMe limit. When you give a boost, they can boost you back to temporarily raise your limit. Here's how it works. You set up direct deposit in your Chime account. After a qualifying direct deposit of $200+, Chime will notify you to enroll in SpotMe. With an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to $200 on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. Your next direct deposit is applied to your negative balance. Chime never charges overdraft fees for using SpotMe. Enjoy the holidays while keeping your financial goals on track with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/NBA. That's chime.com/NBA. Chime feels like progress. And now the mandatory disclosures. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank NA or Stride Bank NA. Members FDIC. SpotMe eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Direct deposit timing depends on submission of payment file. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in SpotMe and are subject to monthly limits. These apply at out-of-network ATMs and for OTC withdrawals. So, you know, we were talking about secret weapons today. And look, we're going to dive a little bit more into what happened in this game when we go through the box score at the end of the episode. You know, again, just a sluggish game. And when a team is sluggish, they have to find energy somewhere. And I think one of the strengths that this Magic team has, and it's been a strength that's been a little inconsistent. It's taken some time to settle in, but I really think it has. The Magic have one of the best benches in the league. Like, plain and simple, the Magic are a really deep team. And they have their rotation set, and they really, really work. Like last year, Orlando's second unit is one of its superpowers. The Magic currently rank 5th in the league, scoring 39.4 points per game off the bench. Their bench group as a whole is plus 1.4 points per game, which is, I'm just checking the stats here, 11th in the league. So the bench this year, and that's understandable because you're adding in an Anthony Black, you're adding in a Jet Howard. There's still a little bit to settle there. The bench group for the Magic has been fairly effective. And those second unit lineups with Jalen Suggs aren't the same as with Franz Wagner. And so I suspect that when Paolo Banchero comes back and Franz maybe slides back to anchoring that second unit, the bench is going to be even more powerful. But let's just look at Wednesday's game. Let's just look at this win over the Sixers. You had Moe Wagner scoring 10 points off the bench, 4 for 10 shooting. Not his best game. But in that second quarter, his energy was undoubted. The Magic were trudging along, staying even with the Sixers. And then Moe Wagner comes in, blocks a shot. I know, crazy. He blocked two shots. He blocked a shot. They only gave him credit. He blocked 2 shots in this game. That's like insane. Picked up the energy. Got some baskets because he's just a natural scorer. Kind of played with the rookie Adam Bono. And that energy proliferates to everybody else. Anthony Black had 10 points on 5 for 10 shooting, added 7 assists. Still very much a work in progress, but only 2 turnovers in this game. Still looking to be a little bit more confident with his scoring, but when that confidence clicks on, and it's not there every game, but when that confidence clicks on, he becomes so much more dangerous. And the Magic have to continue to encourage him to shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Attack, 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 and shoot, shoot, shoot. Do not be afraid to take shots if you're Anthony Black. And then you have Jonathan Isaac. 14 points, 6 for 8 shooting, season high, made 2 threes, 2 for 3 from 3, 4 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And yeah, he left the game with cramps. He's fine. No one seemed to be freaking out about it after the game. Even Isaac spoke and said, I'm fine. I just cramped a little bit. The Magic have a dynamic and effective bench. And it's a kind of bench that does indeed change games. It does indeed flip games on its head. It does indeed provide an advantage for the Orlando Magic. And that is a strength of theirs. And we knew that coming in. Last year, the Magic were 4th in the league, I believe, in scoring off the bench, or 2nd in the league in scoring off the bench. They were one of the best benches in the league last year. Their bench lineups often outperform their starting lineups. And in fact, if you look at the numbers, every player on the Magic bench was at least +8. Jonathan Isaac +8 in this game. Tristan da Silva was +15 in his minutes. He had 5 points, by the way, as well. Really solid game from Tristan da Silva. Only 2 starters had a positive plus-minus for the Magic, and that's Franz Wagner and Goga Bitadze. It is a little too simplistic to say the Magic won this game because of the bench, but what the bench is an accelerant. They get the Magic back in games because they can outplay another team's bench. They can extend leads. And in the first quarter, they extended the lead out to 8 points at the end of the quarter, or 12 points at the end of the quarter. And in the fourth quarter, they extended the lead out to 10 points. This is why the Magic's bench is so important, and why the Magic have been hesitant to disrupt chemistry with the bench. There's a reason why they slot Tristan da Silva into the starting lineup so they could, instead of Jonathan Isaac, and so they could preserve this bench group and this advantage that they have. If you're throwing a 5th starter in there who's not going to shoot a lot or get a lot of scoring opportunities anyway, if Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs are going to get all the shots, preserve your strength. And the Magic's strength is their bench. It is something that truly does flip the game. We could talk all we want about some of Moe Wagner's, I don't even call them antics, but I can't think of another word at this point. We could talk all about how Moe Wagner gets under everyone's skin on the other team. But A, that's who he is. The Magic don't want to repress who he is. And B, that's all energy he's giving to his teammates. That's all energy he is giving elsewhere. And the Magic benefit from all of that. it's, again, looking at bench lineups, it is, again, very reductive. It's not bench versus starters. There's obviously mixing and matching. The Magic played only 9 guys, so a starter was in at all times. And, I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Jalen Suggs has kind of struggled in that role. When Franz Wagner leaves the game, you get a little worried. But Moe Wagner's there to help pick up the slack offensively. And he's had a career season. When Jonathan Isaac is making threes like he did on Wednesday night, that bench group becomes, frankly, unbeatable with that. Because so many of Jonathan Isaac's lineups, he is a drain on the offense. He's still a work in progress. He's still struggling a little bit. But his impact on games defensively is just so real. You roll the dice. I don't even think you're rolling the dice on it, but you take that chance that the offense isn't going to be there for that group because their defense will be so good, and Moe can pick up the slack, or Franz can come in and help pick up the slack. The Magic's bench is one of their greatest assets. And depth will continue to be a strength for the Orlando Magic. Let's close the show up. We'll go through the box score, talk a little bit about what we saw from the Orlando Magic themselves. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. FanDuel has so many great offers to get you ready for NFL Sunday. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 6.5-point home favorites over the Las Vegas Raiders. The Jacksonville Jaguars, without Trevor Lawrence, are 3.5-point road dogs to the Tennessee Titans. If football is not your speed, I'm not even going to mention Dolphins Jets, but the Dolphins are 6.5-point favorites. If the NFL is not your speed, they've already got great NBA action available. NBA Cup game on Tuesday. The Orlando Magic are 5-point road dogs at Milwaukee. It's 5.5 earlier in the day. I did check that. So the Magic making ground on Milwaukee after their loss to the Atlanta Hawks. The Magic, in fact, are plus 1,000, 100-1 odds to win the NBA Cup. If you're looking to look ahead, a little bit ahead to season awards, the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year, Jalen Suggs, is plus 2,000 on that. Franz Wagner, the favorite to win the Most Improved Player Award, at plus 165. Your 6th Man of the Year, this could be a really good one. Moe Wagner where is Moe Wagner? Moe Wagner's not even offered as 6th Man of the Year, which is frankly appalling. Give that man his award love. FanDuel.com has all these great offers. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Let's go through the final box score, talk a little bit more specifically about this game as the Orlando Magic defeat the Philadelphia 76ers 106-102. This game was a slog. And look, I expected it to be lower scoring, but the Magic and the Sixers like to limit possessions, get deep into the shot clock. So even though the Magic scored only 106 points, 119 offensive rating, literally their 4th best offensive game of the year. They made shots, they got to the basket, they did a lot of things really, really well in this game. Having said that, defense was a bit loose. Not the defensive effort we're used to, but again, second night of a back-to-back, the Magic's defense does usually take a pretty big dive on the second night of a back-to-back. And I'm not going to lie, this looked like a game where both teams were on the second night of a back-to-back. If I had one thing from the schedule that I would change, I would, again, the NBA should be continuing to work on this. I'll work to eliminate back-to-backs. And part of the reason why there's more back-to-backs at this time of year is because next week during the NBA Cup games, everybody's off. Light week next week for everybody. Orlando's going to play Tuesday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Sunday. So Magic are going to get a chance to take a breath. They played the most games in the league so far. They played not only 24 total games, only the Detroit Pistons have played that many games. They played 15 road games at this point. They're 9-0 at home, 15 on the road. And they're 7-8 on the road now. So Magic have really picked up some steam. getting through this really, so you could tell, again, not that it's an excuse. You could tell there was a lot of tired bodies. When the Magic get tired, they stop moving. That's natural. When the Magic get tired, they are maybe late on rotations. They're late on going for offensive rebounds. And look, the Sixers had the same problem. The Magic attacked and exploited those. They had more better moments, more fresher moments than the Sixers. But, like the Magic are playing to a standard. They need to play better. This is a bad, injured Sixers team. No offense to my Sixers friends. This is not a good Sixers team. They shot 11 for 30 from three. They made their shots tonight. They made their shots on Wednesday night. They turned the ball over. Magic took advantage. 22 turnovers, 22 points off 14 turnovers, only 13 points off 14 Magic turnovers. So you win that battle. The Magic, they both shot 48.8%. Sixers got +9 on threes. They had 3 more threes. Orlando was +5 on free throws. You got to make up these margins somewhere. And at the end of the day, it just came down to execution down the stretch. The Magic were leading. They were struggling to score, struggling to put things away. Their defense played okay down the stretch. Orlando's now 6-2 in clutch situations. Their losses are Chicago and Indiana. The Magic played okay down the stretch, but they left that door open, and frankly, a better team would beat them. If the Sixers weren't on a back-to-back, the Magic would have lost this game. And, this team is still learning and figuring out how to play with that fatigue. I think some of their mojo's gone. I think they lost some of that mojo in Brooklyn, honestly, the way that they played in that second game, especially. Like, they're gritty. They'll still find ways to win. But, like, if Joel Embiid's back on Friday, if Paul George is back on Friday, we're obviously looking at a very different game. Magic have Thursday off. We'll see what happens. But very much, Franz Wagner carried the Magic in this game. 35 points, 12 for 23 shooting, 10 for 10 from the foul line, 7 rebounds. He was the only guy consistently able to get to the basket, the only guy willing to continually attack. And the Sixers switched everything on him. He was tired. You can see this fatigue here. He was slow to get around screens, or the screens were just set so non-aggressively that it gave no space for Franz to attack. And he just had to create something out of nothing. And this isn't good offense. I know the Magic had good offensive numbers, but their half-court execution in this game just was not good. And, we can't blame the back-to-back. I know there's no back-to-backs in the playoffs, thank goodness. But the Magic have to be more creative and more assertive with how they attack on offense. You look at the other numbers. Jalen Suggs, 17 points, 6 for 15 shooting, 4 for 8 from 3. That means he's 2 for 7 inside the arc. Suggs has to do better getting to the basket when he can. And he'll turn the ball over sometimes. He had 4 turnovers. So it's a double-edged sword. He gets caught into corners and caught into tight spaces, and he doesn't do good in tight spaces. And that's, why this experiment at point guard is not teetering. It deserves to continue. The Magic have no choice but to continue it. But this is why, they need to get Suggs off the ball a little bit more. Get him some more of those spot-up opportunities, because he can make spot-up threes. We've seen that now. That is a big, big thing in his game. He had 6 assists, so a lot better, did a lot better things. But again, 21 assists on 41 field goal makes, that's not good for the Magic. They need to have that number up around 60%. And, Franz wasn't passing as effectively, or players weren't making shots off his passes as effectively in this game. Anthony Black had 7 assists off the bench, again, 10 points, 5 for 10 shooting. The Magic just need to increase their shot volume. I mean, let's throw the bench out. Like, the bench is the bench. Franz Wagner, 23 field goal attempts. Jalen Suggs at 15. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was 2 for 7, 1 for 5 from 3. He's going to have games like that. But 5 steals. Like, Kenny's very, very good, and Kenny's playing very, very well. But he's at 7 field goal attempts. Wendell Carter, 1 for 4. 2 points, 1 for 4, 0 for 1 from 3, 6 rebounds, fouled out at the end of the game. Again, I want to point this out, rightly or wrongly. Jamal Mosley had him in over Goga Bitadze. Some of that was because Goga Bitadze took a very nasty fall on his back and was very limited in this game. He played only 21 minutes. Wendell Carter had an opportunity to kind of reestablish himself as the starting center. And while his defense was good, you can tell when Goga Bitadze's in the game. And I hate to pit 2 players against each other like this, especially because they do tend to work very well, Wendell Carter still looks very uncomfortable. Looks very uncomfortable with his role, looks very uncomfortable with what the Magic are asking of him, especially at the 4. And I think teams are going to start exploiting that, especially when they get a little bit more mobility. Like when the Magic play in Milwaukee on Tuesday, that's going to be a huge challenge. And frankly, I don't know if you start Wendell Carter in that game. Not that you go to Tristan Silva, because I don't want him guarding Giannis, but you may want to go to Jonathan Isaac to start, just to match with Giannis. And again, that's a potential playoff matchup that might be worth doing just to do it anyway. Because again, it's about the NBA Cup, but it's not always about the NBA Cup. But this is my point about Wendell. The Magic need Wendell to be aggressive. And there are several opportunities where the Magic had opportunities to get him post-ups because they switched Tyrese Maxey or smaller guard onto him, and they weren't able to kind of flow their offense naturally to take advantage of that. It just wasn't something on their radar. They were just so determined, like, we're going to hammer Franz in this game, like nothing else is working. Carter also, and this isn't just an issue in Wednesday's game, Carter is passing up open looks. Like, just plainly passing up open looks. And that cannot happen. He's got to take open shots when he gets them. He's got, and this is just a thing for the Magic in general. They cannot be afraid to shoot. They cannot be afraid to attack. When the lane is open, go to the basket. That's the whole purpose of this Magic offense. And what I'm seeing with Wendell Carter right now is a player who's still trying to get his feet wet. I want to give him the opportunity to get healthy. He's only been back for about a week. I want to give him that opportunity to get healthy and to kind of find his place within this team. But that clock is ticking. We are 3 weeks away, potentially, from Paolo Banchero coming back. And when Paolo comes back, he slots into that starting lineup. And the debate every Magic fan is having about who should start at center, that debate is becoming crystal clear. And so Dell, if he wants to start, has to prove himself. And look, he was really good in the fourth quarter. He's scrappy defensively. Looked a lot more comfortable at center than he did at the 4. But he's got to find a way to up his production and do more than stuff that doesn't show up in the box score. Like, I still think he's an excellent defender. I think he's disciplined usually. He has some cheap fouls that probably shouldn't have been called. He's an excellent defender. He's excellent positionally. He switches really well. But the Magic need someone who will impact games. And frankly, Goga Bitadze, 6 points, 6 rebounds in 21 minutes. Goga Bitadze impacts games right now for the Magic. Just something to consider. We went over the bench players. I don't think there's much more to go over there. Orlando shoots 48.8% from the floor, 8 for 29 from 3. So poor shooting night, but they got the shots to go down when they needed them to. 16 for 21 from the foul line. They out offensive rebound the Sixers 16-10, but Sixers got a lot of offensive rebounds in the first half. That was a big part of why they were able to close the gap. They had 8 of those 10 offensive rebounds in the first half, 13 second chance points. They finished with 23 second chance points. So the Magic, second best defensive rebounding team in the league. When you're on a back-to-back, your reaction time is maybe a little bit slower. You got to find that energy. The Magic's lack of energy and fatigue really showed up on the offensive glass in this game. That's really 3 straight games where offensive rebounds have been a problem. Magic have to tighten that up. They have to tighten that up if they want to be the team they want to be. Magic had 18 fast break points to the Sixers 13. Really good transition defense for Orlando. And again, outscored them in the paint 64-56. But just generally, everything needs to tighten. It very much felt like a game that was on a back-to-back. Again, not an excuse. Magic still won the game. So let's not complain about that. We'll check the last 2-minute report, see if the league thinks that Tyrese Maxey was fouled on that 3. The Magic were trying to foul. Anthony Black got completely turned around. Magic were down by 3, 30 seconds left. Anthony Black gets completely turned around. Tyrese Maxey gets by him. Black tries to foul, is late, doesn't get him. Maxey tries to play like there's contact, take a 3 anyway, miss it off the front rim. Orlando rebounds. Orlando wins the game. So the Magic won the game. That's all we're going to care about at the end of the day. But a lot to clean up and hopefully a day off, day to take your breath, day to get your legs back under you. Hopefully that helps this Magic team look better against Friday. Honestly, if Sixers were going to steal one of these 2 games, I think it was going to be this one. I expect a better and more focused Orlando effort, a better defensive effort, especially on Friday in the rematch with the Sixers. The Orlando Magic defeat the Philadelphia 76ers 106-102. Again, back in action Friday in Philadelphia to close this road trip. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. You can find me on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. To subscribe to the podcast wherever you download podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, all of them makes you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can also check us out on YouTube. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub. On that Patreon page, you will find my 3 takeaways for every game. Usually publish them around noon. Probably going to be a little later today since I slept last night. But you can check that out on my Patreon page at Orlando Magic Hub, patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to me, you can go check out the Locked On Magic daily newsletter, the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Apologies for getting this episode out a little bit later. The road trip got me, but we'll be back tomorrow. We'll discuss the first quarter of the Magic season and the questions that we have heading into the second quarter of the season, which obviously has already begun. We'll talk about that on later today's episode of Locked On Magic, tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.